There is a bit of an elephant in the room. And it is a troubling situation. I'm serious, it is. I put out a statement about this last night. I meant what I said, and it's still how I feel. But that is not what we are here to talk about today.
The Republican hierarchy gathered together earlier this day, a planned verbal soiree designed to either calm the fears of those who would rather take a luxurious dip into waters of boiling oil than support Donald Trump, or drop a bomb the likes of which would make the famed movie sequence of Independence Day, where the White House was vaporized, seem like a day at the political beach. Stash the towel and the sunscreen. Your phone calls welcome and demanded right here at America Talks Live. Tell us how you feel about last night. 1-877-Newsmax. Let's get our insider fix. Welcome back the chief Washington correspondent for Newsmax. Read his Inside Daily at Newsmax.com. John Gizzi joins us. All right, John, let's go ahead and get to work. That was Paul Ryan over the weekend, where he basically said Donald Trump is not going to appear with me at an event that he was supposed to. They have a call today, and I want you to explain a little bit about what went on today. But the GOP hierarchy, the bigwigs talked today, and what we've learned so far is that Paul Ryan said he will not defend what Donald Trump says. He didn't say anything about pulling his support whatsoever. But in essence, did we really expect anything more, John? It's not as if the GOP could get together and say, hey, time out. We'll put Mike Pence in there right now, and everybody who's already cast a vote, boom, you already voted for Mike Pence.
That did not come up on the telephone call because so many of the politically savvy members of the Republican National Committee know it is too late to replace Donald Trump and move Mike Pence up a notch and then find another vice presidential candidate. Why? 400,000 Americans have voted so far by early voting. In addition, ballots have been printed up and sent to members of the armed forces overseas. Very hard to recall them and send new ballots to, say, South Korea or Japan or other places around the world. And then there's the question of the individual state ballots. Can they be changed? So that's out of the question. At the same time, there is still no repudiation of the top of the ticket and just a focus on the candidates for the Senate and House. I say that hasn't happened yet. So stay tuned for further developments.
Let's talk about those further developments here, because as was pointed out to me last night by a very savvy attorney, he said you would have lawyers basically making billions of dollars for the rest of their lives if you tried to change the ticket and tried to get people to cast ballots for someone that they did not vote for. He said that's number one to consider here. Number two, he said the GOP is in a corner here. This is your man. You are the ones who said that you want him at the top of the ticket. So isn't this all just an exercise in futility here, John?
Yes, it is, and that's why I don't take it too seriously, and that's why it was not discussed that much except in the columns of the punditocracy or people who like to speculate about politics. Shortly after the Republican convention, there were rumors that Donald Trump, whose campaign was floundering at the time, there were rumors that he would drop out, and I wrote a whole scenario about what would happen, and the Republican National Committee meeting and replacing him within 10 days. The clock has passed for that to happen, so why speculate about it?
Let's also talk about what you wrote at Newsmax.com. You spoke to conservatives. Conservatives agree, according to the headline, Trump pressed the reset button in St. Louis. Is that really... I mean, it seems strange because you are the one who speaks to these people. They say the reset button was pushed, yet we're hearing from other people that it wasn't done well enough. Are we just cutting hairs here, John? I mean, he said he apologized for what he said in the locker room talk. He got out a lot of policy last night. He had Hillary Clinton on her heels at certain times. Isn't it fair to say that, in essence, at the end of the day, and the feeling on the Hill is that Donald Trump did what he needed to do last night to at least not lose any support?
Exactly. Well, he put aside any lingering talk, serious or otherwise, about leaving the ticket. And I think Republicans realized he's going to be their nominee. Now, among conservative activists, Richard Viguerie, one of the founding fathers of modern conservatism, Grover Norquist, frequent Newsmax TV guest and president of Americans for Tax Reform, Howard Kaloogian, spokesman for the Tea Party Express, were unanimous, saying Trump got this behind him And if he focuses on issues, he can still win. Now remember, these are leaders of the Republicans' conservative base. Were Trump debating in a primary or at the Conservative Political Action Conference held every year, he would emerge triumphantly. But in the end, he's got to appeal to people who are in the middle and are undecided. And that's a big question mark, whether he reached out to them. I might add that two former presidential candidates, former Wisconsin Governor Tommy Thompson, Republican, and Nebraska Senator Bob Kerrey, Democrat, agreed Trump did better this time than in the first debate.
Which you also wrote about. That is entitled Trump Did Better, Former Presidential Candidates, a Judge Debate for Newsmax. It is available right now at Newsmax.com from John Gizzi. John, we have Republicans, several pulling their support after the Donald Trump endorsement. We have the Utah governor pulling endorsement. What do you think is going to be the backlash here, John? At least, what are you hearing from the people on the Hill about the backlash here now that we've gone through two debates on the down ticket, which we still need to talk about and we don't talk about enough?
No, we don't, but I will be, and just stay tuned, reading Newsmax, because I'm going to look at it state by state, and we've got some humdingers of races out there. It all depends on what state you're in, Ed. Now, I can tell you, in Iowa, a state very concerned about immigration and very concerned about the economy, local sources agreed. Trump is leading in the polls, will probably still carry the state, and Senator Chuck Grassley, very popular 36-year incumbent, should be reelected handily, and he has insulated the rest of the ticket. Pennsylvania, not so certain. G. Terry Madonna, the premier pollster of the Keystone State, said that a big shift to Hillary Clinton in a state that's always been pretty even-steven in the polls until now could hurt Senator Pat Toomey, considered one of the three most Republicans in the country. He either has a slight lead or slightly trails Democrat Katie McGinty. Remember one thing, though. Pennsylvanians are famous for splitting their ticket, electing Republican senators such as Toomey and Democratic governors such as the current governor, Tom Wolf. They may split their ticket again.
I only got about 60 seconds here. I want to get two calls in very quickly. Victoria, Richmond, Rhode Island, you're a Trump supporter. Tell us what you thought about last night's debate, please, in 30 seconds.
I thought the debate was handled well. However, I do believe that the moderators should be more impartial. I don't know why, when there's two moderators, one can't be a liberal and one can't be a conservative. I think that would give a more evenly displaced checking on the candidates. I think it would equalize their chances in their topics, and I don't think they would be interrupting one person versus the other more often. I also think that certain things that were said, the comments that were said about Hillary going to jail, he did not say it would be him doing it. He wanted to have an independent person checking into this, independent people checking into this to find out what was done and how it was handled.
Gotcha. We got to go right from there. We're all out of time. Victoria, thanks so much. Those of you on the line, hang tight because we got to take a break here. We're going to come back on the other side. I will be taking your phone calls. We have a whole lot more to talk about. John Gizzi, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, go to Newsmax.com. That's where you can read all about what John Gizzi is covering in Washington, D.C. Take care, my friend.